Morning. What a wonderful way to bring in the service. Welcome to our first service in November. Are we really only 2 months away from the end of the year and the beginning of a new year? Hard to believe. I am Amy Firestein, and if you are new and don't know who I am, I'm usually the one running around here like a chicken on Sunday mornings. I am happy to have my head on securely this morning as I share service with Reverend Dr. Kathy Ellis. We welcome you to join with us in celebrating the transformative power of religious community. Whoever you are, wherever you live, whomever you love, whatever you do for a living, you are welcome at the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg. Can't speak this morning. We invite you to join us for coffee hour following this morning's service, either downstairs in person or online via Zoom. Online or in person, we are glad you're here with us this morning.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind. See our faces in each other's eyes, and our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place. When we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving heart, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts enters within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Whoa, I'm loud. Our worship theme for the month of November is generosity. And with generosity is gratitude. Actually, generosity comes from gratitude, and I think our first song shows both the generosity and the gratitude. So our chalice lighting. You who are brokenhearted, who woke today with the winds of despair whistling through your mind, come in.
You who are brave but wounded, limping through life and hurting with every step, come in.
You who are fearful, who live with shadows hovering over your shoulders, come in.
This place is sanctuary, and it is for you.
You who are filled with happiness, whose abundance overflows, come in.
You who walk through your world with lightness and grace, who awoke this morning with strength and hope, you who have everything to give, come in.
This place is your calling, a riverbank to channel the sweet waters of your life.
The place where you are called by the world's need. Here we offer love.
Here we receive in gratitude. Here we make a circle from the great gifts of breath, attention, and purpose. Come in.
Let us worship together.
Good morning. Today's story is titled Heart of Gold, a Chitakata Tale. Once, in days gone by, in the land of India, there lived a man so wealthy that his possessions filled the rooms of his large mansion and spilled out onto the lawns and walkway. He possessed in abundance everything that anyone could desire. What he enjoyed above all else was giving away his possessions to those less fortunate than himself. For his constant and unfailing generosity, he became known as Heart of Gold. Every afternoon, he brought baskets brimming with food and clothing into the garden and offered them to whoever was in need. Possessions can cause great unhappiness, he thought. The rich are constantly worried about losing their wealth, while the poor are fretting about having none. What is the use of having so many possessions? Let my riches bring comfort to those in need. In this way, while Heart of Gold gained the joy of freely giving, poor people all across the land gained relief from suffering. As word spread that anyone in distress could rely upon his help, his fame reached even to the heavenly home of the divas, shining beings who could fly high above the tallest mountains. Chakra, king of the divas, observed the joy that Heart of Gold's generosity was creating in the world of men. He decided to test Heart of Gold's honesty and the strength of his wish to benefit others, he thought. It's too easy for a rich man to be generous. If this man's heart is truly made of gold, then hard times will only make it shine more brightly. Let him lose some of his wealth, and we shall see if he doesn't become, let's say, stingy. That very night, Chakra caused all of Heart of Gold's wealth to disappear. Heart of Gold woke to find his entire mansion was as empty as though a powerful wind had swept the rooms clean. Not a single piece of furniture or food remained, not even his suit of clothes, not even a grain of wheat. All that was left was a rope, a sickle, and his pajamas. What a strange thing to happen, thought Heart of Gold. Perhaps some needy person came secretly in the night and helped himself. If so, then the riches were well spent. But how desperate the rest of the poor folk will be when they find my house empty. Perhaps I can make use of this sickle to provide some small help. Out into the fields he went, cutting grass alongside the poorest folk in the village. All day long, while he worked in the hot sun, he thought about the many people who possessed even less than he did. I had not fully realized how hard it is to be poor. Everyone wishes for happiness, and everyone fears suffering. We are all alike and all together in this world. How can I ever be happy while those around me are in such pain? Day after day, his desire to help grew stronger. Moved by his compassion, he worked even harder and faster. If I cut enough grass, at least I will have something to offer my poor friends. Whatever he earned, he gave happily to those in need. The merchants of the marketplace watched this crazy old man who gave away all of his money and shook their heads. Crazy old fellow, Why don't you just take care of yourself and your own family?" Heart of Gold just smiled and replied, "But this is my family. Who can say we are not all related?" The king of the divas was not yet finished with his test, wrapped in his magical cloak of clouds so that one but Heart of Gold could see him. He appeared in the sky and spoke these words, "Oh, foolish man, I urge you now to restrain your love of giving. Through restraint, you can increase your wealth. Once you have recovered your riches, you will be able to give more to others. There is nothing wrong in not giving when you truly have nothing to give." Heart of Gold exclaimed, "Chakra, there is no time for that. See the suffering all around us? If a poor man is hungry and asks for my help today, I would not have him wait until my fortune increases. Anyone who desires to protect things will bring all that he can, whatever is needed. I will not change my practice of giving, for it brings me great benefits to others and great joy to me." At last, Chakra was convinced. "Now I know your inner nature is pure and strong. Your noble heart shines like the sun, for you have removed the dark clouds of selfish feelings. Whether you are rich or poor, your heart remains constant and true." With a wave of his hand, Chakra restored all the fine possessions to the mansion, returning every last jewel to the treasure chest and every single grain of wheat to the pantries. "It was I who made your wealth disappear. Forgive me and continue to shower your gifts as freely as thunder clouds release the rain." Heart of Gold continued to perfect his practice of generosity until his love for others included every single person in the world. In carrying out this practice, he demonstrated that heartfelt generosity is the way to be true, is the way to true and happy, is the way to true and lasting happiness. If you possess a generous heart, the joy in your life will be deep and true. The happiness you give to others will always return to you. And now we will sing our children to their classes.
It's me again. See if I can talk better now. I think an extra hour of sleep wasn't actually as good as it should have been. Back in May, I spoke about what it meant to me to live a life worth living and how I overcame some personal obstacles and still managed to find the humor and joy in life. How I try to emulate my grandfather, who always found a way to put humor in everyday situations. So I have found a way to live my life my own way and enjoy laughing. I am told I have a very recognizable laugh. But living and laughing isn't everything. I also strive to find a way to not let the bad experiences weigh me down for too long. I'm sure you have all heard different variations of the saying, live, love, laugh. I was introduced to this saying many years ago by one of my best friends. She and her family, who are as much my family as my parents and siblings are, have plaques around their house with the saying in different variations. It's a motto they live by. I am always in awe in how they are able to look at the world through loving and caring eyes. They find a way to see the good in everyone and accept them for who they are, flaws and all. And let's face it, who among us here doesn't have flaws that they're just ingrained in a part of who we are? And honestly, the joy and love that they exude is contagious. I think the hardest lesson we learn is how to deal with the bad experiences. What to do when someone wrongs us. Do we write them off, or do we try and look at things from their side? Forgiveness is perhaps the hardest thing we do, but I think it's something we can strive to do every now and then, depending on the situation. Sometimes it's just very hard to forgive. To err is human, to forgive is divine. It's a line from Alexander Pope's essay, an essay on criticism. I've never read the essay, and honestly, until preparing for today's service, I didn't even know where that came from. I actually thought it came from the Bible. But it's a quote I have heard repeated more than once throughout my life, as I am sure many of you have. As we go through our days, we experience new things, we gain knowledge and perspectives from those experiences, both the good and the bad. And hopefully we learn something from those experiences. But the bad or hurtful ones are the hardest to forgive someone for. A few months ago, during a work-related meeting online via a system similar to Zoom, the leader of the meeting had asked a question about a situation that had arisen at work and wanted to know if anybody knew about the situation and what the possible fix was. Earlier that week, I had helped one of my colleagues, actually I had helped two of my colleagues with the situation, so I was very familiar with it and the solution. So I immediately started talking. I was unaware that at the same time the colleague who was on the call was also trying to talk. And as you know, on Zoom or any other online platform, two people cannot talk at the same time. Somebody always takes front. Well, I finished explaining the situation, and immediately when I was done, my colleague, who I had spent many times in the past helping her with other situations, this person always came to me for help on things that I was experienced in, totally berated me online in the meeting. She called me a know-it-all. How dare I jump in? It was her situation. Remember, I had helped more than one person with this situation. Anyway, I was crushed. I was so deflated because here was somebody that I respected and I, had a good working relationship. So I turned my camera off. And needless to say, I was very hurt. I do know that afterwards, the leader of the meeting had reached out to this person and told them that was just not proper etiquette. You just don't do that. Needless to say, I have not heard from this person since then. I never got an apology, and honestly, maybe this person was too embarrassed to apologize or didn't feel I needed one. But when you have that kind of a working relationship with somebody and they just turn around and about face, it hurts. And I have to wonder, how am I going to react the next time I am in a situation where I am working with this person on a one-on-one situation? I'd like to think that I'm going to be the bigger person and be as cordial as possible, but I know my guard will be up. I'm not sure how that situation or interaction will go. But I do know that if I were in a meeting with this person and I saw them very upset and knew that they were hurting, I would go out of my way to reach out to them because I don't like to see people hurt. It may take a while for me to get over the hurt of that interaction, but again, I don't like to see someone upset, and I'm going to go out of my way to try and be the bigger person and let bygones be bygones as best as I can, but it is the hardest thing to do. Holding a grudge weighs on us, and the more grudges we hold on to, the more they drag us down. Imagine the scene from A Christmas Carol where Jacob Marley visits Scrooge, and he's got all the chains and the boxes weighing him down. No one wants to have chains of any kind attached to them forever. Remember, a smile uses less muscles than a frown. To live, love, laugh makes us lighter and happier. And don't we all want to be around someone who is joyful and happy?
Hearts open, minds awake. Change us now for heaven's sake. Leave us not alone in hatred's wake. Show us how to love. Show us how to love. Show us how to love.
Thank you to the choir. Thank you to Amy for a honest and thoughtful reflection. I'm going to do a litany. A litany means you all repeat a repeated sentence after I say something. Here's your repeated sentence. Let's start with it. This is the home that love made.
This is the home that love made.
It is full of the love the founders felt when they planned out these walls and raised these beams, and also full of the love of the people who did the remodeling and reconstruction the last time.
This is the home that love made.
It's full of the love of all who have worshiped here, those who have celebrated and grieved here, babies dedicated, couples married, family members mourned here.
This is the home that love made.
It's full of the love of our children as they learn and laugh together, and to our youth as they grow into their own sense of purpose and meaning, and sometimes challenge ours.
This is the home that love made.
It's full of the love of the staff who have served it, full of their hopes for this congregation, their hard work, and their acts of dedication.
This is the home that love made.
It is full of the love of those who fix what's broken, who come in during the week and make sure the lights are working and the plumbing leaks have been fixed, who give their time and their energy and their knowledge to care for this building.
This is the home that love made.
It's full of the love of the choir, the love made so clear in their voices lifted here.
This is the home that love made.
It's full of the love of those who make the coffee, bake the cakes, bring the food, plan the auctions. It is full of the love of those who sweep the floor, clean the kitchen, and put away the tables.
This is the home that love made.
It's full of our love, the love of this community, despite our differences and our disagreements, the love that holds us all together as people.
This is the home that love made.
This is the home that love made. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? May the love be with us always. May this love always be ready to welcome the stranger. Amen. Blessed be. So our culture some of the sermon is a sermon I wrote, including part of this first part, a long time ago. And what strikes me is that what I wrote, 10 years ago, may be even more true right now. And our culture is full of messages designed to make us fearful, insecure, anxious, and to be angry and blaming of others. If we are wise, say some politicians and some TV commentators, we will be suspicious of anyone who is different from us, anyone in any way. Mexican folks and Ecuadorian folks are taking our jobs. All Palestinians are Muslims, and all Muslims are terrorists. Jewish people are the elites and the bankers who run everything and are taking over the world. All Jewish people support the Israeli government and are therefore murderous oppressors. If you criticize the Israeli government, you are anti-Semitic. We ought to be able to carry guns to church, to college, to shoot people on our property with impunity. Don't trust anyone. Hate and violence are openly promoted. It used to be they were more secret, but now it's open. And it is a difficult time we live in. It continues to be a difficult time. Now with 2 terrible wars, and with the loud craziness of maybe 1/3 of the American population, it's hard. If I had the magic wand that worked, and if I were the king of if I could wave a wand and fix things, one thing that I would do is teach children from the earliest ages to think, to criticize, to analyze, to ask questions and be supported in asking questions, that kids would learn, as their brains develop at the appropriate age, to use logic and understand ideas like Occam's razor. Many people have not wanted our children or any of us to be able to think clearly, to ask questions. I would also hope that our kids, and us as adults too, would read and understand history. Not whitewashed history, factual history, and indeed, world history. Recently, I've been reading some American political history, and I'm going to put in a little commercial here because I just finished Rachel Maddow's new book called Prequel. And it is a fabulous book. It is a scary book, but it is a hopeful book. It's a story of an American fight against fascism. So it's a fight against fascism and American Nazis in the 1930s and 40s. It's hopeful because our homegrown Nazis didn't win, but they, or their descendants, are still here. The United States has a long history of conspiracy thinking, white supremacy, and Christian nationalism. The conspiracy promoters don't want clear thinking, and they don't want us to know our history. When people believe these messages, and we know people who believe these messages, they can be controlled and manipulated more easily. Life becomes constricted and unhappy. They give power to those who spread hate and violence. Amy mentioned Jacob Marley's chains, and both he and Scrooge, before Scrooge's change, are good example of people living miserable lives. But you know what, friends? We do not need to believe these messages. We know that we can act for social justice, for economic justice. We know that our votes count. We don't need to live constricted, isolated, angry lives. Politicians and advertisers tell us scarcity stories. There's not enough. You are not enough. You are not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not rich enough. Forget it. I want to remind us that regardless of all those messages, there is good news. And we can choose. In the face of this hate and violence, we can choose to be loving, joyful, connected, and generous people. Like the Buddhist story that Corey read, we can be generous regardless of what we have in the way of possessions. Our lives are creative acts. We can tell ourselves different stories, and we can tell stories of abundance, generosity, and generativity. A generous life is a spiritual life, and it's a life of growing spiritual maturity. And when we are able, in the face of the stuff in the world, when we are able to hold on, to be joyful and generous, we do change the world. We may not change the big pictures, but we change the world right in the places where we are, and that matters. Compassion and generosity are primary to all our religious traditions and have been for thousands of years. Judaism, if I butcher this Hebrew word, I apologize, but tzedakah is righteousness and justice, care for the widow, the orphan, the stranger, because remember the stranger for you were once a stranger in Egypt. Jesus of Nazareth taught, "Give, and it will be given back to you. The measure you give will be the measure you get back." The third pillar of Islam is zakat, almsgiving. They say the blessings of God's gifts make us responsible for giving and sharing. Meditation teacher Joseph Goldstein said, "Generosity breeds an immediate kind of happiness, which is different from other meditation practices, which often have a delayed reinforcement. Generosity gives happiness, so generosity can beget more generosity." So a guy named Brent Kissel, who's a financial planner and a yoga teacher, he wrote a book, "It's Not About the Money." And he encourages readers to unlock your money type to achieve spiritual and financial abundance. His yoga of money, he says the word yoga means to yoke and to bring together. So the yoga of money is the act of using money to affirm and enhance our sense of unity with one another and ultimately with something greater than all our physical forms. Kessel teaches balance, joy, service, and giving. He wrote, "The feeling of being able to give, to make a difference in someone else's life, is a precious experience." And he concluded, more than just having enough, our essence is deeply loving. Our essence, deeply loving, contented and grateful, not from any effort, but because it is our natural expression. We are free when we move from a focus on getting love to the freedom to being love, being abundance, being freedom. Generosity grows from gratitude, from an awareness that we have been given many good gifts. We have life. We live in earth's abundance. Yes, we also need to pay attention to the things that are changing and wrong and care for the world. But we have been given the sunshine, the fall weather, many gifts of life. When we can allow ourselves to pay attention, then we can feel that gratitude. And that actually leads us to generosity. Rumi said, giving thanks for abundance is sweeter than the abundance itself. Giving increases your feeling of abundance because you are telling yourself that you have enough and that you are enough. You are enough. Unitarian Universalism is good news. Our tradition tells us that there is an ocean of love, that there is already love in our hearts, that we all have gifts to give, and our loving and giving does change the world. And to live a life of gratitude and generosity is to live a happier, more peaceful, and more centered life. We even, so they say, live longer, fuller lives through generosity. Our immune system is strengthened when we serve others. Generosity, they say, reduces stress, strengthens the heart, physically and metaphorically, and actually lowers cholesterol levels. I don't have the footnotes for where that came from, but that's what I'm told. I didn't make it up. Other benefits, documented benefits of giving are that, well, you form new relationships, reduce your fears, increase feelings of security, reduce self-centeredness, and have a feeling of more empowerment. The more you give of yourself, the more you find yourself and can find the passion that is yours. You are a conduit. The more you allow giving to flow through you, the more abundance flows back into your life. The more you give, the more you receive. In their book, Being Generous, The Art of Right Living, Lucinda Vardy and John Della Costa named 10 virtues that inspire and give form to the art of generosity. It is by understanding and living these virtues that generosity flourishes, they say. And as I tell you about these virtues, I ask you to consider Amy's thoughtful reflection. I think she was demonstrating in her reflection trying to live these values. First is courage. It is to dare and to strive for what validates human hope. The courage to change what's wrong in the world hinges on the courage to change what's wrong inside one's own heart. Discernment, to consider authentic motives, one's own integrity, requires developing and trusting one's own intuition. Third is humility. I think the world could use more humility right now. Humility is having an honest sense of proportion about oneself and about others. Compassion, when true feelings are honored, it is inevitable that the heart opens to the reality of others. With compassion, generosity's aim and impact are on multiplying the impacts and possibilities of standing together. Mercy, about giving others the benefit of the doubt. Everyone deserves heartfelt consideration, as do you yourself, as do we. Reliability, the concrete quality that brings good intention to life. Hope. At its core, generosity is an act of hope. Because without hope, there would be no expectation that being generous could have any effect at all. Remembering. What we remember is what we care about. The stories we tell ourselves and where we give our resources show us what truly matters to us. And finally, balance. We need rest, restoration, and reflection. People need free time. We cannot be generous without being generous to ourselves with our time. So those are the 10 virtues, and I'm going to send them to you in the weekly email, because I would not be at all surprised if you didn't really get them all. I don't think I would have. But here's, in concluding, you, yes you, have gifts to give. Time, attention, listening, ideas, wisdom, help, hope, fun, encouragement, love, respect, creativity, laughter, and stuff too. Money, vegetables, items that you created. Just look at all that you gave to the UCH auction last night. And sometimes you also help others by letting them know that you need help and accepting their generosity, by letting them know that you need someone to lean on. May you know that here at UCH, you do have friends that you can lean on. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be.
Please rise and body your spirit for hymn 1021, Lean on Me.
Always to
Oh, I'm sorry, I confused myself about where we were. Where we are is our ritual of joys and sorrows. You are invited to take a stone from the basket that Amy is holding at the back and invest it with your energy, the energy of those joys that brought you flying in, or the energy of the things that had you dragging and wondering if you could make it through the door, or both, if that's how you feel today. The energy of your prayers, your concerns, into the stone, and then into the bowl, which represents this community, holding us all, holding our joys, our sorrows, our prayers. Please go down the side aisles and up the front. And a final stone for all that's on our hearts and in our minds this morning. We have several joys and sorrows to share. Bev Sabino is requesting prayers for undiagnosed health issues. Nan Kavanaugh is at home this morning, attending online, because she's likely to be having open heart surgery later. She got a surprise diagnosis. Luckily, she got a surprise diagnosis. The catheterization showed serious blockages. So thoughts and prayers are certainly welcome. Mary Bresch, it's a sorrow about throwing out her back and moving, but that's probably eclipsed by the joy of having a new house and a new job. Also, lots of feral cats to take care of. Carol Buskart shares joy and gratitude for the extra hour of sleep. After last evening's fantastic fun and fundraising auction, created by the amazing and inspiring Patty Hazel and her team of trailblazers. Thank you, Patty. Jesse McCuslin says, after a super long, drawn-out process, I have finally been approved for food stamp benefits. He thanks us for all our support. Thank you. I'm going to ask us to just settle in for a moment of meditation and silence. Go ahead, Chris.
Spirit of life,
Unitarian Church of Harrisburg is, as always, a freely gathered church of free people. The church is created, sustained, and supported by us. Each month, we share half of our Sunday plate with a local nonprofit organization. For the month of November, we are sharing with the Harrisburg Area Food Pantry. Formerly known as the Ecumenical Food Pantry, the Harrisburg Area Food Pantry's mission is to support those in the greater Harrisburg area experiencing food insecurity, primarily by providing emergency food assistance. If you wish to contribute online, please visit uchbg.org homepage for options. Your financial support and commitment matter. Please consider giving what you are able. We thank you for the generosity of your gifts.
Forever we
you are anyway, but to stay standing for our chalice extinguishing, which is our covenant. Is it coming? We maybe know it, but love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And as we go from the room, I have some words from Mother Teresa. She said many things, but she said this: don't think that love, to be true, has to be extraordinary. What is necessary is to continue to love. How does a lamp burn if not by the continual feeding of little drops of oil? So let us go forward and do our best to live in love.